I'm Veronica Dudo. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, cancellation chaos. From coast to coast, flights are disrupted across the U.S. We have some tips on how to cope. Shutdown day 38. The Senate tries a new approach to end the impasse. We have the latest from Capitol Hill. False advertising. Florida's Attorney General talks to EWTN about his lawsuit against Planned Parenthood. And Ministry of Hope. A Catholic forum focuses on the church's response to mental health. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us. We begin tonight's coverage with the two words airline passengers dread: canceled and delayed. On day 38 of the shutdown, airlines scrambled to cut 4% of their flights under an order from the government. Look at this map. Travelers are facing widespread flight disruptions at 40 major airports across the country. It's all due to air traffic control staffing shortages. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says Democrats can end this shutdown right now.
You've inflicted enough pain on the American people. I hope those who vote to keep the government shut down will come to an airport and they should introduce themselves to the travelers and ask them if it's worth it. Is their delay worth it? Is their cancellation worth it? And I think the resounding answer to that will be no.
For many passengers, they aren't taking political sides. They just want the government shutdown to end and the flight disruptions to stop.
These politicians need to get their act together, man. It's just crazy. I mean, come on, people. What's wrong with you?
I hope it doesn't
just
happen
get it together.
I hope it doesn't happen again tonight for people, but it was really sad. So many flights were just canceled, and it was not the weather.
They're saying, if I were you, I would not travel over the next 3 days. It's going to get worse. TSA said that to me, and the airline counters said it, like, unofficially. They can't, right?
Many are worried about the effect this might have on holiday travel, but there are ways to prepare yourself. Joining us now is Aixa Diaz, national spokesperson for AAA. With the FAA cutting flights by 10%, what kind of disruptions should travelers expect, and how widespread could the delays and cancellations become?
Veronica, it is inconvenient, obviously, to have any flights canceled, and the reality is most air travelers are not going to be affected. The numbers are working in your favor. However, if you're one of the 10% that's affected, that's a big deal because obviously your plans now are changed. I think a couple of things. We're seeing that some travelers are taking a wait and see approach, meaning they're not going to proactively do anything with their flight. They're going to wait to see if the airline cancels it, and then they'll figure out a plan B. But some people are going ahead and making changes. And I think some people who have perhaps trips coming up in the next couple of weeks that are drivable, that wasn't ideal, but they're drivable, they may go ahead and get that refund for their flight and drive to their destination. Or we're seeing some people taking Amtrak or taking a bus. I think what we're also looking ahead to is Thanksgiving travel, because that's what AAA monitors every year. We put out a forecast for Thanksgiving, and we haven't released our forecast yet. The numbers are fluid because even though we had a certain projection, that number could change, and we won't know ahead of time because some people are waiting until Thanksgiving to make the call whether they travel or not.
If the shutdown continues into the busy travel holiday season, how significant could the ripple effects be for air, rail, and road travelers across the country?
I think if you can plan ahead and avoid those peak days, let's say your travel plans did include flying on Tuesday before Thanksgiving, can you try to move that flight up to the weekend before? Or maybe if you were going to come back on Sunday, can you switch your flight and come back maybe the Tuesday after? What that does is you're now one less person who's going to be traveling on those peak days, and it alleviates congestion just a little bit. I think for road travelers, people who are taking road trips, leave as early as possible. Morning hours on the road are better than the afternoon and evening hours. That's when you see the most congestion on the interstates. And once again, reconsider the days you're leaving. And if it has to be that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, hit the road as early as possible. And AAA always tells you, check your car ahead of time. Let's say you weren't planning on taking a road trip and now it's going to be a last minute decision. How are your tires? Is your battery in good shape? Are the fluids topped off? Those are the things that could potentially then become headaches once you hit the road and you realize your car is not ready.
Aixa Diaz, thank you so much.
Thank you.
On top of growing concerns for travelers across the country, flight delays and cancellations are adding to the challenges many businesses face. Peter Russman, founder of the Catholic Navigator, joins us now to discuss the impact on travel businesses like his. Peter, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So first, tell us about your travel company and what do these cutbacks mean for your business?
Yeah, my company specializes in pilgrimage and travel for Catholics. And ultimately, usually it's group-based, international is the more common areas. So we have a team that works really hard to take the stress off the shoulders of the individual, which is something that seems to be mounting a lot this weekend with the cancellations and delays.
Are you feeling any impacts yet?
With companies like mine, we work really hard to take that off the shoulders of the individuals. So we will be feeling those impacts as well as they mount. But again, on the individuals that work with us, they shouldn't feel that as much.
Now, I'm sure you're inundated with a lot of questions from clients who are getting ready for the trips, but also for future trips. What are you saying to them? What's your message?
Yeah, some of these things we have to take one day at a time, honestly, and we're at the 4% mark today as these cuts begin, and they're going to rise up to 10% by next week. So in the short term, things are going to be changing a good bit, and they should be something that we pay close attention to.
So for many, they have worked a long time and they've saved up. These are sometimes dream trips or vacations. And then, of course, they're also faith-based. What is your advice to someone who wants to travel in the next month?
Yeah, in the next month, especially if you've already booked your trip and you've saved up for a long time for this, it's going to be a case-by-case basis. Hopefully there's some level of travel insurance involved, but keep in mind that if the insurance was booked after the shutdown, you want to be sure that it was a cancel for any reason policy. Things like that play into whether or not you may be able to get a refund at this point. For the immediate future this weekend, there are several airlines that are offering refunds even to those flights that are not directly impacted yet. So you might want to just kind of keep an eye on things and see in your case where you may be able to get a refund or be able to reschedule.
Peter Russman, founder of the Catholic Navigator, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Day 38 of the government shutdown isn't bringing good news. Republican leaders canceled a planned vote to open the government. And Democrats say after the recent election results, they believe they now have the leverage to get their policies passed. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us with the latest. Eric.
Good evening, Veronica. Some of the Democratic policies include health care reform, like extending Obamacare subsidies and returning Medicaid cuts affecting over 40 million people across the country. So after a closed-door meeting last night, Senate Democrats decided to hold out for more concessions from Republicans.
The electorate spoke really clearly. It was mostly a referendum on Trump's corruption and his chaos, but voters were telling Democrats they want us to stand up for what we believe in, and they want us to use our power to try to keep costs down.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune tells me Americans are hurting, and when is enough enough?
It's very frustrating. I think some of them know what they want, but they are afraid. I mean, they're just running scared. And it's a really sad place to be because there are a bunch of these people who want to get this done, realize this is a really bad thing for the country, but at least at the moment are afraid.
They don't care. They don't care that the military, the FAA workers, Capitol Police are getting paid. I mean, the Democrats just do not care. Open up government. We can have a conversation about policy, how we spend our money, all those things. Open up government.
Bipartisan negotiations continue, but there's not much hope for an immediate solution. Besides health care, Democrats want federal layoffs and projects restored in blue states, which President Trump canceled. And they believe he should be involved in negotiations.
I hope he accepts the request of Leaders Schumer and Jeffries to get them together with Senators Thune and Speaker Johnson to find a off-ramp. And I think once he engages, I think that can happen quickly.
So I asked the majority leader, what is the president telling him?
He obviously wants to be a part of solving this problem, and as I've said, he's willing to sit down on the issue of health care with Democrats once the government opens up again.
And just a short time ago, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and other Democrats took to the floor and proposed Democrats would be able to open up the government if Republicans agree to attach a one-year Obamacare subsidies extension and also create a bipartisan committee to find ways to make health care more affordable. Democrats now claim that the ball is in Republicans' court, but Republicans are already calling it putting fresh paint on rotten wood and oppose the proposal. So the shutdown right now continues. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
The Trump administration is trying to block a court order that requires the administration to pay full SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. The judge gave the administration until today to make the payments to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, but the White House wants to fight any court orders requiring it to spend money outside of contingency funds. The U.S. Department of Agriculture released a revised table of payments for November due to the shutdown. It says maximum payments for benefits in November will be 65% of the usual payment. This means for a family of two, payment would be $355 instead of the normal $546. And for a family of four, payment would be $646, where normally it would be $994. 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. President Donald Trump welcomes Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to the White House. This as the war in Ukraine grinds on with prospects for peace still elusive. The Trump administration has sanctioned Russian energy firms, and Hungary, a member of NATO, is under increasing pressure to end its reliance on Russian oil. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports.
Veronica, the Trump administration seeks to punish anyone buying oil from Russia, the resource that is funding Moscow's war. Among the buyers, Hungary, which is looking for an exemption. Outside the West Wing, President Donald Trump greets Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban.
President Trump, sir, any chance you'll meet with Putin in Budapest at some point?
There's always a chance, very good chance.
And inside, the two leaders discuss the war in Ukraine.
We would like to discuss with you how we can contribute to help you in your peace efforts.
And you've taken a lot of Ukrainians that needed your help, and you've taken a lot of them in your country, and everybody appreciates that.
As Russia's invasion of Ukraine approaches its 4th anniversary, Orban has maintained warm relations with the Kremlin. The Prime Minister appealing for an exemption to keep buying Russian oil, claiming that Hungary, landlocked in the heart of Central Europe, has no viable alternatives.
We're looking at it because it's very difficult for him to get the oil and gas from other areas.
So that will be one of the issues for today, to explain clearly what would be the consequences for the Hungarian people and for the Hungarian economy not to get oil and gas from Russia, because we are supplied by pipelines.
In the efforts to make peace, President Trump was recently set to meet again with Vladimir Putin in Budapest, Hungary, but that was scrapped, with President Trump saying he did not want a wasted meeting with the Russian leader, who showed no signs of backing off his demands on the war.
We're talking, but we'll report on that later. Meetings with Putin. We were talking about that with Victor. He understands Putin and knows him very well.
President Trump also told reporters if he did meet again with Putin, he'd like to do so in Budapest. But he says right now, the Russians just don't want to stop. Still, he's optimistic that the war will come to an end in the not-too-distant future. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
And late this afternoon, Prime Minister Orban said the United States granted his request to keep buying Russian oil. We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly. A major legal battle. Florida sues Planned Parenthood over abortion pills. The state attorney general explains how this case could protect more women. Welcome back. The Supreme Court is considering taking up a case that could overturn same-sex marriage. It is the second look at a ruling from a decade ago. Kim Davis, a former Kentucky county clerk, refused a marriage license in 2015 to a same-sex couple. Since then, she has been seeking to overturn a lower court order that required her to pay the couple $360,000 in damages. The justices could decide as early as next week whether to take up the case. Florida's Attorney General announces a $354 million lawsuit against Planned Parenthood alleging false advertising about the safety of abortion pills. The Republican says the nation's largest abortion business is intentionally misleading women about the dangers of chemical abortions to make a profit. Today, in an exclusive interview about the lawsuit, Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer, who is a Catholic, sat down with EWTN News' Catherine Hadro to explain why he hopes this case ultimately protects more women.
Our viewers just heard a little bit about this lawsuit in your introduction, but break down this case for us.
Sure. Well, we brought a lawsuit against Planned Parenthood in Florida State Court. They have been wrongfully deceiving women out there, advertising that these new chemical abortion pills are safer than Tylenol and pain medications you'd get over the shelf. Our evidence suggests that is entirely false. People at home should know 1 in 25 women that take these chemical pills end up in the hospital, and we've seen dozens of deaths resulting. So we're continuing to learn more, but the reality is there are dangers and harms with these dangerous chemical abortion pills that we're only going to see more of going forward. So we brought a suit, and we want to make them pay for it and stop what they're doing.
Our viewers at EWTN News know well we've been reporting a lot on the harms that these chemical abortion drugs carry, and it sounds like you've seen that as well in the state of Florida.
That's right. Yeah, a couple months ago, we joined a lawsuit working with the state of Texas, and other states are coming on board, suing mifepristone and drug providers directly because of these harms. And the nature of these pills is it's easier for them to get mailed into states like Florida, where we have a heartbeat bill, and they can violate that law. They also are more easily into the hands of kids as a result of these new practices. So we want to hold people accountable for hurting our women, for hurting our children, and these lawsuits are seeking to do it. Planned Parenthood, you know, they had some other services they were providing that were actually more helpful. Cancer screenings, they don't do many of those anymore. Instead, they've turned to the chemical abortion pills because they're so profitable. They have a 500% profit margin on the sale of these dangerous products.
And you claim that Planned Parenthood is intentionally being deceptive to make a profit.
They know what they're doing, absolutely. But by telling women that these drugs are safe, they're able to sell more product, and they've had billions in revenues in the recent years.
You are asking the judge to fine Planned Parenthood $10,000 for each medication abortion that's been provided by Florida's Planned Parenthood since they began using that phrase you mentioned, safer than Tylenol language, in June of 2023. It's estimated that could come to $350 million. I believe there's a $4 million racketeering charge in there as well. Do you expect Planned Parenthood is going to pay up? And if not, what's next?
I doubt they're going to pay up right away. They'll fight us, but we're ready for that fight. We will see them in court. We've got statutory damages under Florida's Unfair Trade Practices Act, where for every deception, it's a $10,000 penalty. So we're going to throw the book at them, and we're going to collect as much as possible.
On this very subject, last year, the Supreme Court took up a case brought on by a group of pro-life doctors challenging the FDA's approval of mifepristone. The justices did rule unanimously that the plaintiffs lacked legal standing. So it was seen in the eyes of pro-lifers as this temporary setback, but it's largely expected there will be another case on mifepristone up at the Supreme Court. Are you hopeful that this lawsuit might make its way up to the Supreme Court?
I hope that our litigation will get up there. I do believe we as a state have standing. We are defending state laws that are being violated by these behaviors. So I think we'll get into court and we'll have strong arguments, and I pray the court will do the right thing.
James Othmeyer, Attorney General of Florida, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Up next on EWTN News Nightly, the Ministry of Hope Catholic mental health specialists gather in Rome to discuss the Holy Father's November prayer intention. Pope Leo's prayer intention for November is for the prevention of suicide, drawing special attention to those living in darkness and despair. His appeal comes as church leaders and mental health professionals gather in Rome for the Ministry of Hope Conference. EWTN Vatican journalist Benedict Sedegren has more.
Every day, about 2,000 people in the world take their lives. It is the third leading cause of death among young people. To strengthen the church's pastoral care for mental well-being, church leaders, professionals, and pastoral workers from around the world gathered in Rome for a 3-day conference titled Ministry of Hope. Organized by the International Association of Catholic Mental Health Ministers with the support of the Pontifical Academy for Life, the event aimed to renew the Church's mission of accompaniment of people in psychological, social, and spiritual distress.
We're going to want to talk about the value of loving people and accompanying them and letting them know they have a place in church and society, no matter where they are with whatever mental health related issues they might have. We need to let them know that they are loved and they're valued, and their human dignity, as we've been hearing, can never be annulled.
The conference opened on Wednesday with a Mass celebrated by Bishop John Dolan, for whom the topic of mental health is particularly close to his heart.
I was affected as a survivor of suicide loss in my own family, losing at that time, a brother and a sister and a brother-in-law. It was later, after I opened up the office for mental health ministry in the Diocese of Phoenix, when my sister Mary also died by suicide.
The conference brought together many people with personal experiences of mental health challenges. Organizer Deacon Ed Schoenner from the Diocese of Scranton, Pennsylvania, lost his daughter Katie to suicide in 2016. The night his daughter died, Deacon Schoenner decided to write a short and simple obituary that openly talked about Katie's mental illness. This led to the start of a larger ministry.
She died by suicide, but that doesn't define her. She was a beautiful child of God. She was a wonderful woman, and we need to do better and treating mental illness and taking care of people that live with a mental illness. And much to my amazement, that very short obituary went viral. It must have just hit at the right time and in the right way and spoke to the needs of so many people that live with these mental illnesses that they want the church to be closer to them.
Deacon Schoenner emphasized the importance of collaboration not only among clergy, religious, and lay pastoral workers, but also with mental health professionals from various fields, including the secular, to offer the best possible care and healing to those in need.
God made us as one whole human being and made us in his image and likeness. So we always say it is good, it's a gift from God to get mental health care. Psychotropic drugs, therapy, counseling, all of that, like any other medicine, is a good thing. And you're not a bad Catholic if you see a counselor or take antidepressants or things such as that. But also, we need the spiritual care. We need to be able to pray together and support each other.
Through ministries of accompaniment, parish education initiatives, and spiritual support groups, the International Association of Catholic Mental Health Ministers hopes to help the Church serve the people of God more effectively and compassionately.
When I meet people who have suicidal thoughts, most of the times that I've felt that it's been effective speaking with them is if I just sit there, listen, and validate them as a human being and see them for their dignity as beloved sons and daughters of God. And I think we can come from that perspective as Catholics, and we can tell them in our presence that you are loved, you are enough, and God has a greater plan for you.
In Rome, Benedict Cedergren for EWTN News Nightly.
We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. We leave you tonight with key moments from the last 6 months of Pope Leo XIV's papacy.
My dear friends, it's a pleasure for me to greet all of you gathered together at White Sox Park on this great celebration.
I santi Pier Giorgio Frassati e Carlo Acutis sono un invito rivolto a tutti noi, soprattutto ai giovani,